Americans of Reddit, what is something you didn't realize was typically American until you went abroad?
Having your drink constantly refilled at restaurants. I just want to drink a ton of water, all right?
Red plastic cups for parties. So much so that people outside us use them as an accessory to American-themed parties.
Having plenty of off-free bathrooms around for the public to use.
Free public restrooms. When I visited Europe, I thought it was the strangest thing that you had to pay to use a public restroom.
Not an American, but I can always spot Americans at the airport because they take off their shoes at security, even if it's not required. Portion sizes. My high school senior trip to London, as a typically ravenous appetite 18-year-old, I couldn't get over how small everything was standard.
How large grocery stores are here. My wife is not American, and we lived in China and were in H all the time. They had large international stores that were great, and she didn't really grasp the size of American grocery stores till our first week in the USA, and there's 150 feet of cereals on one aisle.
My British friend makes fun of me for how much cheese I use in my cooking. Doesn't stop her from inhaling my potato casseroles, but there you go.
Massively wide roads, lanes. The whole of Ireland made me feel claustrophobic, but when I got back home, the roads felt like way too much wasted space.
Measuring walking driving distance in blocks. T. It's the unit of measure I use most frequently when giving directions. The restaurant is 3 blocks away. Go south 1 block and then 2 blocks west. I live 6 blocks from the grocery store. It wasn't until I studied abroad in England and got a complete blank look when I asked someone how many blocks away the library was that I realized using block as a measurement only makes sense in cities that were largely pre-planned and built on grid system. Aka, not many places outside the US.
It is a Japanese culture to always greet someone as a sign of respect, but I feel uneasy that Americans sometimes looks at you and do a half smile while not saying anything.
Cold drinks. Every European country I've visited, the drinks would best be described as cool, but definitely not cold like in the US.
The stereotype about us being loud is true. I never thought of myself as being loud until I went abroad and would hang up the phone after speaking in what I thought was appropriate volume to find everyone around me was staring at me, and realized how much more quiet they were, lol, lops.
Road trips. At least just jumping in the car and driving a few hours without giving it much thought. I live in a large western state, and it seems at least every other weekend my family and I were in the car, traveling for a few hours to see some sight. Going to Mexico or another state. I have relatives in Switzerland, and they were going to drive us to the Frankfurt airport, and I was blown away how big of a deal it was to them. My uncle had the car inspected, shopped around for gas, and printed off travel and weather reports. All for a trip my dad would have said, "Hey, let's do this weekend. In the car, kids."
Ask any soldier after multiple deployments what one of the most remarkable things about America, and it would be massive grocery stores.
Peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. On a related note, no, Vegemite and butter are not an adequate substitution. You know who you are.
Prescription drug advertisements on TV.
Convenience stores that carry just about everything you need.
Keeping ACK on 100 of the time in the summer. Visited Madrid for about a month to see the exchange student we housed and found that they typically only turn on ACK at night to sleep or when it reaches a damned 105 deg F.
Water pressure. Your showers are like a flower watering pot. I like to feel my shower. Like, make the pressure strong enough to tear my skin off, then back it off like 10%.
I grew up in the US and moved to Europe about 10 years ago. I learned quickly to get out of the habit of smiling or saying hello to strangers on the street. I didn't understand why people found it so off-putting at first because I thought I was simply being polite. A European friend explained that it comes across as phony, untrustworthy, and puts people on their guard. It can still be hard sometimes to shake the feeling that I'm being rude by not smiling at everyone I pass by.
Jaywalking. The rest of the world thinks this is a made-up crime you only see in movies with corrupt cops.
Getting to choose from like 50 different types and subtypes of sodas. Hearing commercials advocating you to go to the doctor and demand a prescription for whatever fantasy pill is new to the market on the radio like it is no big deal.
The prices abroad don't add tax after the fact. You pay what the price shows. No need to figure the tax. Dumb that we do that here.
I love reading what the world thinks about us. How iced coffee is actually icy cream in your coffee. Best surprise Germany ever offered me.
Shorts. I swear there are 14 million people in Istanbul, and I was the only one wearing shorts.
How are you? Being used in place of hello, even with strangers. In the US, how are you needs only to be replied with good you, almost as a way of saying hi. Elsewhere, people don't really know how to respond when a stranger asks, how are you? How you doing? Or how's it going?
I did an art history course in Italy. What really stood out to me was the size of cars over there. Over here, you have a mix of mid-sized sedans and pickup trucks, SUVs with the occasional compact car. Back when I went compact cars, here were incredibly scarce. Over there, it seemed like most everyone drove a compact car with the occasional sports car. I remember counting 6 pickup trucks in the 10 days I was there. For comparison, I can name more than 6 people I know with a pickup here.
How colorful people dress. In pretty much every European country I've been to, people dress with really neutral colors without big logos or graphics. In America, it's pretty common to have people dress in bright colors or have a shirt with a cool graphic on it. Europeans dress pretty fashionable, but they aren't very expressive when it comes to clothing.
Ranch-flavored Doritos in the Netherlands are called cool American flavor.
Small avocados. Went to Puerto Rico. Was like, you all have like 6 of those stuffed avocados. Buddy was like, yo gringo, I think you underestimate the size of our avocados here. Just have one and I'll bean you more if you want after. I had half of one. It was like a football. I've never been abroad. Is that American enough?
Huge amounts of personal space. I know everywhere has the concept of a personal bubble, but for Americans, it's more like a personal iron curtain. Now I can't unsee the lengths that Americans will go to be far away from other people. Next time you get on an elevator or a metro in America, look at how perfectly spaced out everyone is standing to maximize the distance to other people.
Tailgates. I've lived in the States my entire life, but when my Spanish girlfriend came to visit, I wasn't sure what I could show her that really exhibited American culture. There are plenty of American stereotypes you see on TV, but it wasn't until I took her to a tailgate that I realized how violently American the whole experience is. A huge parking lot full of drunk 20-year-olds bouncing on trucks bigger than most European apartments, with half the trucks blaring country, and the other half blasting rap. Solo cups and beer cans all over the place, grills, cornhole, etc. I've traveled to quite a few different countries, and I can't really see a tailgate happening most other places.
Cups with limitless ice and free water. I spent a